You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit share, and make sure you hit subscribe. We're shooting live from the bread box, and I want to take the time to put some proper respect on our special guest this evening. We're going to be sitting down talking to what I would call a expert on this particular topic. Can you tell the people who you are, sir?
I'm Brother Mus'ab, Yasir Bey.
No, but I never had a chance to ask anybody, I guess who had the historical facts. So up here, we are in the medieval times. Okay, we are in the medieval times, the Black Plague, when the world was factually on the brink of distinction. And so what I'm looking at is a picture with a pure white bottle milk of magnesia holding a baby bottle of milk of magnesia, right? And there are other white people surrounded around this ritual, which looks to be a christening of some sort, a baby baptism. But what sticks out is a black man smack dead in the middle in illustrious garment. He looks special. A black man in the middle of a picture of all white people in the middle of medieval times. And I would see these pictures and I would always wonder, who is this black man and what does he have to do with these white people christening? Is he the priest? Why the fuck is he there? Because he doesn't look like a slave. So now that I got you here, right, can you talk to us about this picture I'm looking at? Because I know you know.
Well, that's why I say you can't look at ancient things with modern eyes. You got to know what's going on at that time. And if it's medieval, then he wasn't a slave, 9 times out of 10. And then slavery was viewed different then. It wasn't the same type of slavery that we knew 250 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like being indentured or whatever. But back then, if he was in Europe and it's the medieval and he wasn't a slave, he was probably 9 times out of 10 an important figure. Now we had Moorish priests or Moorish people that was in the priesthood and Roman priesthood that was Moors, named Alfonso, away from the Muslim names. Important figures. We were always important figures in Europe for those 900,000 years that we were there. But I'm glad you said medieval time because that's a very important time frame. Now, when you say that the world was in a dark age, no, it was Europe in the dark age. America, West Africa, Egypt wasn't in the dark age. China wasn't in the dark age. It was a dark age that fell upon Europe. Okay, so that's like a common misconception of when we talk about dark age. It wasn't like the world was they were in a dark age. They were ass backwards. They were these troglodytes running around in this heathenistic fashion. You get what I'm saying? So the Moors came in to remedy a situation because they were a part of the globe and it had that spread it, that type of backwardness spread it. We had to contain it.
So let me ask you a question, because and thank you again, brother, man, for your introspect on this topic. So and I just want to make sure, is this how the one black man ends up in as a minority in a sea of black people or a group of white people, but he's like I said, right there about to hold the person's baby. So I mean, was he encountering racism at this time, or was he held in high regard? Because I'm trying to figure out. He's clearly just like if I went to Harvard or if I went to, you see what I'm saying? If I went to Walmart, a certain Walmart, I would be the same nigga in a sea of white people, but I know how I would be treated. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, you see what I'm saying? What was the atmosphere when they came to shore, when they came into these type of situations?
You can't look at modern eyes, ancient things with modern eyes. the Moors always played a very vital role in European development. So even if you had a European king in the Sea of White Kings, a lot of times his advisor would be a Moor. They'd tell him what to do or tell him how to run it. Because we come from a legacy where we set up jurisprudence. We set up these universities in Europe. So a lot of times when you see these dark faces in this milk of magnesia, sea of milk of magnesian faces, those people played very important roles, such as that picture. Such as when you see George Washington with the little boy on a horse, or whatever the case may be, the boy is probably teaching him how to ride a horse. Because we were so advanced that the Moorish kids was teaching the European adults how to do things. So when you see photos like that, you kind of got to look at it with your ancient lens. Racism as it exists today wasn't racism that. They didn't have racism then. Racism is a scion of slavery. It's a child of slavery. It comes over a period of time of a people thinking they're better than you. Because when the slave trade popped off, it was just about capitalism, about getting free labor. That's it. But after a time of living good and so high on the hog, that you begin to think that you're really better than, and then you start getting these professors and shit to legitimize the hierarchy. So they try to use science to say, okay, well, your cranial size is, or your skin tone is, or the reason your physical being and the way your bones are structured makes you a slave. They were just trying to kind of buttress the fact that they wanted to keep you in perpetual servitude.
Because they're definitely going to roll with what works for you. You got to capitalize off of what works for you. But my question to you is, and now I'm tapping in. You feel me? Now I'm tapping in. So my question to you is, was the Moor not aware, because the Moor was the traveling Moor, right? They traveled all across the globe. So at this point, could the Moor not foresee the white devils plan? Could the Moor not see the fuck shit that lied ahead? Could the Moor not look to Africa, or could the Moor not look to other regions and see how the white devil was coming out the Caucasus Mountains? You know what I'm saying? I keep it plain and simple. Could the Moors not see what was happening in order to say, yo, we got to stop giving these motherfuckers knowledge?
That's a good question. But I got to go back to what I've been saying. You can't look at ancient things with modern eyes. You go back to the Indians who let the Europeans in to trade with them and to give them shelters, these pilgrims, to help them out, to keep them from dying in the winter. Could they foresee? What I'm saying is, there's a lot of blue-eyed people that come in and with this forlorn look, and because that's what we do. That's what the Moors have done. We go to places and make it better. If you have a potato famine, then we come and show you how to till the land and turn over the soil. Could the Moors, back to your question, could the Moors see that happening? No, probably not, because they were in a desperate situation. You know, they were on the brink of extinction with the Black Plagues and things of that nature. So, no, at that time it was kind of different, because we talk about 400 years of slavery. We occupied there 800 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's nothing in comparison to 800 years of being there. We had 4 empires there. You know what I'm saying? So we had different power shifts, different fights, different whatever. And no, it didn't express itself. Certain things got to come out in the span of time to show people who they really are. People don't act like evil conquerors when they're in a position of immiseration and they're living in squalor. They're on their best behavior when they're asking for something from you. You know what I'm saying? Until they get on, like we say, they get on their note. You know what I'm saying? They start balling again, and then they become who they really are. You know what I'm saying? So, no, they couldn't foresee that at that moment. It was probably smattering or rivulets of it, but at that time, when you place yourself in that moment, no, because it was a couple of different power shifts going on. You got Moors coming in, amalgamating with Europeans, taking on Europeans' attributes and culture, like Christianity. No, we wasn't largely Christian. But when we went to medieval Spain, Granada, or Italy, Ireland, then cultures swap out. We can't be here as African Americans and not our culture rub off on them and their culture rub off on us. Any people that come here, we eat Chinese food at the Chinese restaurant. Everybody cultures rub off on each other. So of course they ended up getting lethargic and lazy, our ancestors, and then they would, hey, let me see what this God is working with. Oh, you say Jesus? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Because we're mixing in with these people. So you had some people that become Moriscos or embrace the Christian paradigm and eating pork, and you know what I'm saying, when it was largely outlawed in Spain. And I'm going to put a pin in that. The first time I was called a Moor, it was by an Irish woman. So what me talking about this kind of reminded me, bring me back as I cogitate on it more, is when I was in college, I met an Irish woman named Denise Murphy. Murphy, of course. I would show her how, I taught her how to drive a stick shift. I taught her a lot of stuff, because she was fresh from Ireland. So there was a lot of things that she didn't know. One day I asked her, I said, you guys have black people? This is when I was 18. Yeah, you guys have black people in Ireland? She said, yeah, and we used to call you guys Moors. And you saved our lives because we had a potato famine. At that time, I didn't even know anything about it.
I know.
You get what I'm saying? So this is how
I know all about the potato famine when they was sitting in them goddamn hills, starving, waiting on a potato to spout out the ground. These are my dreams. I take refuge in this. In this truth. Go ahead, though.
Exactly, but you see, she was telling me and admitting to me that we were known for helping them. They had nothing but honor and respect for us. They had a high level. They lionized us.
So they were dying in their own, as you say, in their own squalor. Yeah. They didn't know shit about sanitation. They didn't know how to wipe their ass. They didn't know what to do with the shit that came out of it. They ate at the table with their own cattle. So my question to you is, what moved the original black man, the so-called Moor, to come to the aid or the rescue of this so-called white devil? Because there seems to be a pattern in history. We always want to say that white man, that white girl, we always want to help somebody. Yeah. What moved the Moors to extend their hand and give up their knowledge, right, to save these people when they most needed us in the medieval times in the Black Plague?
I want to keep going back to the motif that I've been saying. You can't look at ancient things with modern eyes. At the time, what was going on there, and you got to understand the politics, and it's a book called The Moors in Spain. The reason why I keep going back to quit trying to look at ancient things with modern eyes. You got to study the medieval. You got to study 1700s. You got to study the 4 AD. You got to study these times and understand the direction or the differentiation between a 711 and a maybe 100 or maybe BC to kind of know what was going on at the time. Now, you can read in the Moors of Spain of the politics that led the Moors to come up into and take over, or what they say invade. I hate that term, but invade Spain and Italy and Europe. But for the most part, the way that they were living was detrimental, and it was, I would say, pernicious to the world. You know what I'm saying? So if you got feces that's stacking up and it's 6 inches thick and it becomes roads, or you have these sores on your bodies, because you know the little song "Ring Around the Roses, Pocket Full of Posies, Ashes, Ashes, We All Fall Down," they was talking about the Black Plague in Europe. But yeah, we teach our kids this shit, right? But they were talking about the sores that would develop on the Europeans' bodies. Ring Around the Roses is the sores. Pockets full of posies was because the bodies stunk so much that they had these roses called posies, or a type of flower that smells good, to try to cut the effluvia of this nasty smell. Wow. Ashes, they all fall down. They were just dropping dead. The ashes, they were just burning the bodies. They didn't have a burial process. We came in and changed all that. Now, from my studies and what I suspect from the medieval time is these diseases came about of being uncleanly. Eating at the table with your cattle, being at the table with your pig, eating your whatever porridge or whatever they was eating. You know what I'm saying? With these exotic creatures. You know what I'm saying? With these exotic creatures at the table. The Moors had to say, hey man, you can't do that shit. You got to keep your animals outside in the pen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you want them to lick you in your face, but no, we're eating right now. we're eating right now. You get what I'm saying? We had to come break all of that shit. Not only that, we had to teach them science, navigational tools, how to turn over the soil on these fallow land, till the soil, irrigation systems, all of this stuff that was laying fallow and dying. We had to jumpstart this shit. At the intro of Stanley Lane Poole's book called The Moors in Spain, they intro the book saying, if the Moors hadn't failed, the world would be 1,000 years more advanced. Had we not underwent slavery and we could have kept that progress up, then we would probably be building cities on the moon right now. We would be 1,000 years ahead because we failed. A lot of things got cut. They burned a lot of books. They burned a lot of knowledge to get rid of the history of the Moors. Pope Innocent II said that we finna strip you of this title Moor. So now we sitting up here talking about Moor and what is a Moor and all, and like this is like some type of anomaly when they have it in the records in Philadelphia, in Independence Hall, in a Library of Congress. They know exactly who we are. You get what I'm saying?